All right, evening. I'm only seeing 5 persons on the platform, but the class is 29 in total, so I need to see at least 14, 15 students in interim. Can somebody remind me what we did on Wednesday? What was the last thing we did on Wednesday, and whether or not, I think I uploaded the lecture, the recording to YouTube. So good evening. Let me hear good evening. I'm actually waiting for that.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. Did I upload the recording?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Did I upload the recording for last week Wednesday's class?
Sir, I'm not sure.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think I see it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And what was the last thing we did? Remind me.
So introductory paragraph for the article, the Caroline Cooper something.
Oh, we did the introduction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can somebody just say hi to in the WhatsApp group for me? So I can so I know where to pick up. All right. Give me 1 sec, people. Oh yes, so this is it. Let me look at the tail end of the recording. This quote unquote old boys as well as persons who are going there communication stability. All right, so where did I go wrong to? Oh. Yes. All right. So that they can help. Right. So let me see where is the narration or it was their intention. Okay, so some persons were. So I think the example that I want to show you, I was it in the other group? Probably it was in the Thursday group. Let me just see. Because I am not seeing it in this one. So probably it was in the other group. Oh, okay. All right. Did we look at the article Burnout? Did we look at that article Burnout?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
No,
All right.
no, sir.
All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do for me, because we have looked at all of the language strategies and style and even techniques and so forth. Let's look at Burnout. Where's everybody? It's like almost half hour, but we have to proceed. No, I need at least, can't proceed with so small number of students. Oh, I sent Burnout via email on Canvas. Look, check for me.
Yeah, I saw it, sir. In the interim, can you please just send the link for the APA badge thing that we're supposed to do, please, on Canvas? I was checking through my email, but I didn't get that.
Yes, sir, you got the email. I sent the email to all students. You're supposed to click on the blue thing in the email.
Okay, are you what, sir? I not see you not send it, but I not see it. I'm never checking a spam and stuff.
Okay. So this is COM ONE. All right, I just shared the article as well in WhatsApp. Just tell me if you're seeing what are you seeing in terms of the article?
All right, sir. The information says you should read the following passage and write down all answers to the questions that follow. Burnout in the healthcare sector.
All right, okay. Let me just glance at it again. All right. All right, so I am giving everybody at least until 6 to read and have answered the questions. Do we need to share it and read the article together, or you can read it on your own? It's kind of long.
So I'm on my way home now, so that'll have me away.
All right, so okay. All right, so I'll give you until 6 to answer the questions, all right? To read and answer the questions. Probably I should pair you up because that might work in your favor. I don't know where the other persons are. No pair. Individual work until other persons are here. I need to get into I need to claim host. That's not the day. All right, so I'm giving you until 6 o'clock to answer the questions, okay? Everybody's clear in terms of what is supposed to be done? And your mid-semester is next week, Wednesday, on discourse analysis. Persons who are just joining us, I emailed an article relating to burnout, and I've also shared it in the WhatsApp group. You are to read it and answer the first 9 questions. For the persons who are just joining the class, you are looking at the article that was shared with you via Canvas as well as in the WhatsApp group titled Burnout. It relates to burnout. You're reading the article and answering the questions up to question 9, and it is individual work. All right, and we start discussing at 6 p.m. So you have half hour. For the persons who are just joining the class, please read the article that was shared via Canvas and or via WhatsApp titled Burnout, relating to burnout, I should say, and answer questions 1 to 9. We are going to discuss at 6 p.m. For the persons who are joining the class, I circulated an article about burnout. You are answering questions 1 to 9, and we start discussing it at 6 o'clock. So you have 16 minutes remaining. All right. I think by now we should be finished with the article in terms of answering the questions. Let me just bring it up. Didn't I just open it? So where is it? Okay, here it is. All right, so the first question is, what is the dominant discourse mode? I'm listening. What's the dominant discourse mode? I'm listening, people. What is the dominant discourse mode? Hello, I'm listening. What's, yes.
Is it description?
All right, one person says description. Everybody agrees, or is there any other response?
Expository.
Expository.
All right,
Yeah.
said
Expository.
exposition. All right. All right, so that is correct. It is exposition. Who is the intended audience? Who's the intended audience?
The managers and supervisors.
So I hear managers.
Healthcare
And the
professionals.
healthcare sector.
The intended audience
All right,
are
so
the individuals in the healthcare sector.
so managers and supervisors in the health care sector. All right, I would say managers, supervisors, and administrators. I would add administrators in the mix, right? And what in the article, what in the exposition justifies that it is for, or what in the article indicates that that the article is targeted towards these individuals? Is there anything in the article that suggests?
Yes, sir. The part that made mention of the resources that were not available. So you have persons that might be doing double work or working overtime and all of that.
All right.
Yes, sir. And the part where they're talking about the money, you know, working and the company have a limited budget, and that will in turn affect the employees, sir.
Okay, all right. So clearly it's directed at the persons who are managers of these kinds of workplaces. All right, fair enough. State, using evidence from the passage, what you consider to be the writer's intention or purpose. What would you say is the writer's intention or purpose?
For the relevant individuals, sir, to look into themselves and
No, can't be that. Can't be that.
No?
What is the discourse mode? Remember, I told you that you link the discourse mode to the purpose. If you say the discourse mode is exposition, I gave you some terms that you must use when you're talking about purpose relating to exposition. All right. So what you're saying is not, that is not even academic.
Is it to identify the significant factors related to burnout in the healthcare profession?
All right, so that's a start. That's a start. I don't know why students like that word highlight, but that's a start. Anybody else? Actually, the writer's purpose to some extent is actually stated in the article, you know. It is actually stated in the article.
The writer's purpose is to determine what burnout is.
All right, the writer's purpose is to determine what burnout is. Do you think that that's the only purpose of the article? When you read the article in its entirety, is the purpose only to do that?
Sure, he also expounded on the types of burnout that there is and what causes the burnout also.
But sir, that was what I was getting at.
why burnout is so prevalent in the healthcare sector?
So hold on.
Yes.
Remember, we said that when we're talking about purpose, we said the writer's purpose is to. What comes after the word to? What verb comes after the word to?
Roles,
Right.
several, and factors is what I think. Yeah, factors.
So the what comes after the word to?
It should be roles.
So the word that comes after the word to is the writer's purpose is to roll.
No, the
To
writer
prevent.
to prevent.
Listen, people. Yes, yes. If you say the discourse mode is exposition, what are the purposes of exposition?
To inform and highlight.
I never gave you any highlight, and I just told you to stop saying that term, and you're still repeating it. What are some of the purposes of exposition? It is in your lecture that I sent you. Is there a thesis statement in the essay? Is there a thesis in this paper? Is there a thesis in the article? I'm listening. Is there a thesis?
I think let me go back on that.
I am listening. What are the purposes I gave you of exposition, people? I gave it to you in a lecture, and I even copy and pasted that thing in your WhatsApp group. What are the purposes of exposition?
Sir, to convince.
Sir, to explain.
Thank you. To explain. I don't know how convince comes with exposition. Jesus Christ. People, you need to watch the recordings and do some reading, okay? Please. All right, so if you say to explain, what is the writer explaining? What is the writer explaining?
So he's explaining what is burnout.
And what else?
And the types of burnout being internal and external factors.
And what else?
Who is being burnout, sir? Who's burnout affected?
Right.
All right, listen to me now. So this is how you're going to learn how to do the analysis. If you say that the writer's audience are persons who are in the healthcare, like HR manager, did you say HR managers or did you just say managers? It should be HR managers because HR managers are the persons who can actually do something about people's work schedule, right? So if you say, for example, that the audience managers. If you say, for example, that the exposition is directed at HR managers, administrators, and supervisors, it therefore means that there's a relationship between the audience and the purpose. So in other words, why is the writer writing to these individuals?
Sir, can I try?
Go ahead.
It states in the article that the purpose of the study is to determine what burnout is. Why is it prevalent in the healthcare sector?
If you write that off, if you write that and give me, I will give you 0 because it means that you're not critically analyzing or just lifting from the article. So the person said to explain, and they are correct. But remember, no, that's a part of it. So if you say the purpose is to explain, what is the writer explaining to HR managers, administrators, and supervisors in the healthcare sector? Because remember, you said that it is directed at these persons. So that's what I'm asking.
So is it the effects of stress?
The effect of stress, how stress come into this? Aren't we talking about burnout? When did we shift to stress?
The effects of the types of burnout, sir.
So the writer just wants to explain the effects of burnout to administrators and HR managers.
So I think the writer's purpose is to let them feel bad in a sense.
No, you cannot. Hello, you cannot write that and give me let them feel bad. That's not academic English. Remember, I said to you that this is academic writing. That sounds like a conversation on a street side. So the person said to explain what burnout is. But remember, I told you that that purpose is two things. One, the why and what the writer hopes to accomplish. Remember, we said that some time ago, that the purpose answers two questions. Why and what does the writer
And how it affects the...
No. And what does the writer hope to accomplish? Listen to what I am saying. So why and what does the writer hope to accomplish? So the why is to explain what burnout is, and to some extent, and the impact it has on workers, right? But the other part now, what does the writer hope to accomplish? Remember your audience, people. I am listening. Can I ask this question? Why is the writer directing this piece at HR managers?
So is it to find a solution? So
Find a solution. So who is going to find the solution?
the HR manager, sir.
All right. Right. So the writer's purpose is to explain what burnout is, the impact it has on workers, in order to, so that HR managers, administrators, and supervisors in the healthcare sector can do something about it, or can find a solution, right? And that is your overall purpose. I deliberately kind of went through that long thing for you to understand, because that's how you get the mark. All right, using evidence from the passage, explain the context in which you would find this text. In other words, where would you find an article of this nature? If you were to find it, outside of the class, we're doing it in class, where would you, where would you find such an article?
Under the Ministry of Health Department.
So you could probably find it, when you say under the Ministry of Health, where exactly?
Would it be maintenance?
Maintenance? Maintenance people are going to read this article? You and I know maintenance people don't read. And if it is directed at HR managers, I don't know that maintenance would be reading this. But the question is, where would you find an article like this?
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Sir, when you say, are you mean on which platform we can find it, or
yes, which platform? If you were to read this, where would you possibly get it, access it to read?
So this
In
can
a
be
newspaper?
In a newspaper, I don't know that this would be this is too long for a newspaper.
Sir, we can find it on a journal or in a book.
So it could be in a journal article.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I hear Roberta trying to get in. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was just waiting. So you can also find it on the news or the information section. So the news or the notice section of a website, or the notice section of a company or any organization like hospital also, sir?
I would more say the news article section of a hospital website. I wouldn't say because news, this is not going to be a notice. This is not a notice. A notice is really an announcement about closure or opening hours or stuff like that. But it's more the newsletter section Would you
Yes, sir.
agree?
Yes, sir. Of any organization or website or so.
Well, I don't know if it would be of any organization, because I would think that because it speaks primarily to healthcare. And if you look even at the sources, it kind of gives you a sense that they're talking about the healthcare sector, because the first source, that is American Heritage Dictionary, Healthcare Forum, Journal, Human Resources Management, Nursing. So this is really so it's more geared towards the healthcare sector person. So whether it be a kind of lifestyle magazine, a health related magazine, anything relating to health. Would you agree? Looking even at the sources, because
Certainly, sir.
yes, right. And if you look here, it says adapted from discoveries in academic writing. In other words, this adapted from means that they put it in a book for academic purposes. All right, number 5, identify the dominant development strategy. What would you say is a dominant development strategy? Dominant development strategy means the same thing as organizational strategies. That's really what that is. What is the dominant development strategy?
Cause and effect, sir.
All right, cause and effect. Anybody else has a different answer or agrees with that? And I'm not saying
The
that is
use
wrong.
of definitions.
The dominant is the use of definition. Remember, dominant means that the overall thing, or the entire thing was organized. And I don't know, the entire thing is just one big definition. I don't get that impression.
So what about evidence of research?
Evidence of research is not really an organizational strategy. That's not really an organizational strategy.
Okay, sir.
What are the various organizational strategies? People, talk to me, people. We did this so many times. I'm asking you a question. What are the various organizational strategies, people?
Compare, contrast.
Right, all of those. So which one would you say is the dominant one?
Well, 2 is there, so cause, effect, and contrast, I think.
It's more cause and effect. And another name for cause and effect, and I'm not sure if I had said this to you guys, is causal analysis. Causal analysis.
First, I use that, sir.
Cause and effect. Another way of saying it is causal analysis. So what is the cause and what is the effect? What's the cause and what is the effect? I am listening, people.
The cause is the overworking of persons with like 2 years or 4 years, what I say, college degrees, and young person, single person in the workspace, and the effect of it is burnt out, sir.
Right. The effects of it is really burnout, and the various types of burnout, not just burnout, but the various types of burnout, right? Right?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
What am I sharing? I need to do. No, this is not what I want to share. All right. And the other question says, comment. No, not comment. Give me 2 other strategies that are employed in the text. So we just looked at the dominant one that was used. Now we want to look at 2 other organizational strategies that are used. I am listening. So we have causal analysis. So what are the other, give me 2 other types that are used.
May I give you one, sir? Contrast was used. I could clearly see where contrast was used.
All right. Where do you see evidence of contrast?
Hold on, sir. I'm gonna quote it for you.
No, I don't want you to quote it. I want for you to paraphrase because you can't
All right.
quote in your essay.
I think it was under the internal, but let me just go ahead and check to confirm.
While he's trying to confirm, anybody else wants to hazard a guess? People, this is your mid-semester. You notice I'm going through it very painstakingly. Please speak. What are two other organizational strategies that are in the part that are used by the writer in the passage? Hello? Jason Dillon, what says you?
Sir, I would say the writer used description in the piece.
All right, so where do we see evidence of description? And if you say description, is it literal, scientific, technical, figurative?
I would say he used simple definition, sir.
Oh, you said definition. You said definition, not description.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm asking which of the two you're saying because I might have misheard.
Oh, I said that definition.
Oh, definition. So which type of definition are you seeing evidence of?
Simple definition.
All right. Is it simple? Can you find the evidence of the simple definition for me? Where do we see a simple definition of burnout? Let me just share screen so that other persons can see.
I would say that he used simple definition when he describe what is burnout in the second paragraph.
So is it that this alone is burnout or defining burnout, or is it that 1, 2, 3 paragraphs are used to define burnout?
I would say that the second paragraph is where he puts in the most definition. Is where he put the most definition for what burnout is.
Right. So would that be simple then? Because if he's using so many sentences to define a concept, would that be simple definition? Did I tell you about, I'm not sure if I told you this about extended definition. Did I tell you guys about that? Definition. Did I tell you? Right. So I figured I didn't tell you. Extended definition. So yes, there's definition, and I would have given you the mark, all right? But it's not simple, it's extended because the writer uses what? 1, 2, 3, 4, not 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 paragraphs to define burnout. So it would be an example of extended definition. All right, are you seeing any other language and or organizational strategy? Other than depth, so we say the dominant one is causal analysis, which is cause and effect. 2 secondary ones, we have 1 of 2. We have extended definition. Can you mention or highlight another one?
All right, sir. Listen to this. I would say transition, so you can let me read it and you tell me what you think. All right. So,
which strategy are you talking about?
Contrast, sir.
Contrast. Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. All right. Institutional rules and regulation are also a cause of burnout. For the healthcare provider, the quality assurance program for prospective, current, and retrospective review assuredly adds to the stress of providing care.
How is that contrast? Contrast shows difference. How is that contrast?
I'm talking about the program, the prospective, the current, and the retrospective.
That's not
Sir.
contrast. That's just expanding or further explaining. Remember, contrast shows difference.
Okay.
So
all right.
if the writer had used like however, or on the other hand, or yet, or but, then you know that the writer would be showing contrast.
Oh, okay, sir.
Right. So those are the kinds of terms or words that are usually used to kind of hint at contrast. All right. Any other strategy?
Sir, I'm going to try. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
sir, what about is it that example or illustration can be sir, the one there would I say?
Yes, illustration / exemplification is a strategy. Yes. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the use of that?
Sir, can you share back your screen?
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Sir, for me, sir, I would see it in the sir, in the section where you talk about external factors, particles. So in that section, because it's basically illustrating what burnout, the carrying out of burnout in the external sector of the healthcare.
Mm-hmm. So it's giving us illustration of what so external factors, particularly to healthcare, that lead to burnout.
Yes, sir.
All right. And what can you give us a specific instance of illustration that is used? Yes,
Sir,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Sir, I'm reading the part that said another, so I'm just started the passenger first and then, so the part that said another reason burnout is a frequent occurrence in healthcare is that the public has begun to question the efficiency and competency of healthcare professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, in that section, I will, sir, what the question you asked me?
So what would you say is a specific instance of illustration used by the writer? And anybody can assist her. So she has correctly said that the writer has used or is using illustration, but what would be the specific instance of illustration that you're using to support the strategy that you have identified?
So you can ask me the question in one different way?
All right, so you said to me that the writer has used illustration. So let's swap the word illustration for example.
Yes,
I remember
sir.
we said that there are 3 types of examples. We have specific, typical, and hypothetical. So I'm asking you, is there any instance in the article that you can point to where the writer has used either a typical example, a specific example, or a hypothetical example to kind of help us better understand burnout? And this is a question for her as well as for other persons in the class.
All right, sir, sir, we only say it will be typical. What's the next word you said?
You have typical, specific, and hypothetical, but I'm still going to ask you for the example. You have to give me something from the passage because that's where you get the marks.
Okay.
That's when it becomes critical analysis.
Sorry, scroll back to the passage that I was reading. That's another reason.
Okay.
Burnout is frequent.
All right, there you go.
Yes, sir, right there.
Sir, I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
is it specific, sir?
Specific example where?
Sir, because here he says society has decided that healthcare cost is too much. And then he goes on to say healthcare is 12% of the gross national product of the United States in 1990, sir.
But what would that be an example of?
Statistic.
Sir, what about the part that says
Open here.
the President of the United States, and then it goes on to say healthcare professionals feel they have little control over what is happening to them and to their future, and it is this lack of control that causes burnout.
That would be what type of example? I'm listening.
Wouldn't that be specific? Because it bit.
Does it name a specific
Or
person?
hypothetical.
Would that be is it made up? Is that a made up example?
Sir,
No,
could it
it's
be
typical.
specific in terms of the research study that was done?
So it's more typical example, or what is called anecdote. Have you ever heard about anecdote? Like, and you hear people say anecdotal evidence?
No, sir.
Sir, I may hear the word, but I don't know what it means.
Anecdote. All right, it's in the chat. So it's more a case of typical or anecdotal evidence. In other words, this is something that was brought to bear in a study. Healthcare professionals feel they have little control over what is happening to them and their future. And this is the lack, and it is this lack. But remember what I'm saying to you, that you can't necessarily quote directly from the passage. You have to paraphrase. You have to paraphrase. And you have to phrase using less words, because there's a word limit to your essay. Yes, I heard, sir.
I want to try. You said it's an example, right?
Yes.
So it's the part where it says, it is a treatment of people as an object rather than as a human.
What about it?
Isn't that kind of an example, like you're explaining how people are
What
being
kind of
treated?
example? And you need to explain it in the context of the passage.
Hey, be quiet. Be quiet.
I think I would say a typical example.
Explain it within the context of the passage.
All right, let me read back all the things.
Sir, can I ask a question?
Go
So
ahead.
I'm just asking, is it that based on how I answered the question, was I on track? Sir, can we just feel nervous? I'm gonna feel like maybe I said something wrong.
What you need to do is to say, when you say, for example, so the writer uses illustration / example, right? For example, so when you say that, then you put full stop. For instance, the writer mentions how healthcare so for example, the writer in paragraph 5 or in paragraph 10 mentions how healthcare professionals have little control over their blah, 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 and are thus affected severely by burnout. Notice how I've notice how I paraphrases.
Yes,
this again demonstrates the need for healthcare, for HR managers and other administrators in the healthcare sector to prevent this problem or to find a solution to the problem. That's analysis. Notice how I'm kind of putting it all together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what we want. Number 6, comment on the use of transitional devices in the section called external factors particular to healthcare that lead to burnout. How do these elements help Malone to achieve her purpose? So in terms of the transitions, how do the transitions help her to achieve her purpose? I am listening.
Sir, by answering the transition will work on based on like the contrast and that was stated earlier on.
So what words in this section of the paper indicates transition?
When compared to
No.
For instance, when the person says first,
right, first,
third,
second,
and third,
another reason.
Another reason.
Remember, I taught you this already. All right. So now you're actually explaining it now. So the question is, how do these transitions help the writer to achieve achieve her purpose? That's what they're asking.
Sir, because it gives us a smooth flow, sir, to the reader.
I don't give marks for that. It has to be in relation to what is being discussed in the passage.
Sir, it outlines her 3 points that she's using, sir.
Not giving any mark for that. What 3 points and what are these 3 points in support of, or how are these 3 points? These 3 points are built on what premise?
The writer used those 3 points to state her factual.
No, the writer uses transitions. Notice what the question says, yes?
Yeah, so the writer used the transitional points to state
The transitional device, no. Transitional devices.
All right, so the writer used the transitional devices to state the factual point in the text.
0 same way, still 0. You haven't answered my question.
Sir, is it that the writer uses the transitional device to, sir, honestly, you have to put back the screen, sir, please.
But all of you have the passage. Why do I need to put back the screen? You have the passage, you know, people. That's why I sent it to you.
Know all the transit from one.
All right, so so let's go back to where it is being used. You need to, what you're doing, you're not paying attention to what the writer is actually doing there. That's why you're not giving me the correct answer.
I think, I just had it. She's basically, all right, I'm not gonna say it like she's explaining like the transition of how basically the changes in the healthcare system affects cause the burnout. So hey, let me put it together.
So we can try.
Go ahead. The answer is actually there. So I don't know why people telling me all kind of stuff. Yes, go ahead.
So all right, so the writer so we're just gonna say it and then
yes,
so,
of course.
So I would say the writer show the
uses the transitional
devices of showing the external factors in the carrying out. Sorry, I'm gonna think more.
All right, I think you were coming close, you know. You probably need to jot it down and then kind of say it. Yes, anybody else? I see some students who are, I love that. I love the tenacity. Persons are trying to come up with answers. All right, so what did I tell you about first, second, and so if you say first, second, and third, and so forth, are you not building it on a statement that was said before?
Sir, the writer uses the transitional devices to explain how burnt out.
It's burnout. There's no T in the middle. Burnout.
Burnt out. Wow.
People, the answer is in the first sentence of that section of the passage. You're not reading.
The healthcare sector, sir.
The answer is the first sentence of that section. Yes, go ahead.
The writer uses transitional devices to explain how burnout is problematic to the healthcare sector.
No, that's not the answer.
Sir,
yes, go ahead.
Sir, the writer uses a transitional
devices.
Transitional devices to expound on the emotional demanding situation of the.
No. Once you say emotional, the answer is actually in the passage. And I told you where the answer is, and people's telling me something else.
Sir, can try.
Go ahead.
So the writer uses transitional devices to explain the other factors of to explain other external factors that causes burnout.
All right, I can, somewhere there about something like that. Because people, it's there in the passage, here is the answer, people. The first sentence, here it is. This is what the writer is building everything on.
Sir, that was
Burnout
a
is
statement.
especially problematic in the healthcare sector for a multitude of reasons. It therefore means that first, it's going to give you one of the reasons. Second, is going to give you another reason. Third, is going to give you another reason, and then another reason burnout is. So in other words, the writer uses the transitional vices to talk about the various or the multitude of reasons that causes burnout outside of the healthcare sector. Come on, people, the answer is there. So in other words, this is the thesis of the paragraph. Of this section, this is the thesis of this section. And then you have first, second, third, and all of that. Remember, that's what we did, when we were doing the outline, It's very similar. All right. All right, the other question says, is comment on diction and show how it creates tone of the text and helps the writer to achieve purpose. All right, what are the terms that we use to describe diction now? I gave you several terms or words to use to talk about diction. Can anybody remind me what are some of the words that we use to talk about diction? What are some of the words we used to talk about diction? Look in the lecture, people. Does anybody remember?
Sir, I don't remember, but I'm looking in the lecture that you gave us.
Let's see if it's in this one. I think it's in the other one. Okay. No, it's not in this. My time is not in this one. I am listening.
Sir, what was the question again?
What are the terms or words I gave you to talk about diction?
Repetition?
No, I can give you repetition for diction. Repetition has nothing to do with diction. So in a sec,
effectiveness, enunciation, like clearness, and
no.
But then,
All right, so let's post it in the chat. We're not going through the lectures. No, that's not it. Where is it?
Are you sure is this class?
Very sure. The lecture was
I
sent
don't
via.
remember ever hearing anything like that, sir.
Yeah, right. I'm sure because you can't, know the answer. That's why you're saying that, no?
No, it's true, sir. I don't remember.
Look
ever
in the
hearing
chat for me.
anything
Look in the,
about
not in the
this,
chat. Look in the WhatsApp group for me. I am telling you, I emailed this lecture to everybody.
Okay, sir.
Very positive of it.
Like this.
Yes? Say that again.
You said it is metaphor simile. That's what you're talking about?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Did you look in the WhatsApp group? Why am I not finding it?
You said jargons, slangs.
Basic, elevated.
Thank you. What else?
Simple.
Yes.
Technical. Jargon.
Yes. Okay, all right. So diction is either basic, simple, elevated, sophisticated, technical, jargon, slangs, colloquialisms. So what would you say is the jargon in this instance? Is it basic?
Yes, sir.
Is it technical?
So I would say basic or simple because it highlighted, it stated, it just give you the definition right there. Everything was right there.
So I don't know that it is only basic, and let me tell you why I would say it's not just basic. Let me share the passage and show you. So when the, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
So when the writer says Maslah, if that's what Maslash, defines burnout as a syndrome of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, reduced personal accomplishment, compassionate fatigue. That's simple? That's not simple.
Oh no, sir.
Okay, it's technical, sir.
Very
No,
technical.
it's
Sir,
not
I mean,
technical.
stop.
It's more scientific.
Oh,
It's more scientific.
Okay.
Because look at these kinds of depersonalization, you know, those kind of psychological terms that are used to kind of, you know, speak about these kinds. Because remember, you know, burnout is something that you can't see. It's something that you want experience. Fair enough? You
Yes,
can't
sir.
physically see it. So the language is very scientific, quote unquote, very scientific, somewhat elevated because of the use of certain words that are used by the writer, or not even words, certain terms that are associated with burnout. And then you can kind of cite some of these particular words. All right. We're not saying that in all instances the diction is elevated, because there are instances when the diction is very simple. There are instances as such. So it's not that you'd lose all the marks, but if you just say that the diction is simple by itself, then of course you'd be losing marks because it's not just simple. All right, so let's see how quickly we can write something. All right. So let's write an introduction together for this. New.
Is it intro? This.
Say that again. I didn't hear that. All right, watch me now, people. Let us say that you get the essay, you get your, so you say discourse analysis, because that's what it's going to be titled. And you know, of course, you have an introduction, right?
Yes, sir.
In the introduction, you put the discourse. So you put dominant discourse mode, audience, main idea, purpose, and thesis. I'm going to do all of these corrections. So discourse, this thing is not used to this word, discourse, add to dictionary. Add to dictionary. Well, this definitely don't spell it right. Why is my thing purpose and thesis? Okay, I'm not sure why it's not reading. Add to dictionary. Add to dictionary. All right, so introduction. Are you seeing my screen?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we say in the expository piece, P-I-E-C-E, titled, what's the title again?
Sir, burnout in the healthcare sector.
Burnout in the healthcare
sector.
Sector. The writer's main idea is that burnout is a major problem experienced or being experienced by healthcare professionals that needs to be addressed by HR managers and other administrators. Professionals. Let's do a little spacing here so you can see it a little clearer. Let's say 1.5. So I'm going to show you how to get the mark. So we did say the writer's purpose, right? So the writer's purpose is to, remember we said it's to explain, right? Explain what burnout Miss Clark, I'm teaching. As soon when I finish, I'll call you, okay? The writer's purpose to explain what burnout is. As soon call you, Kerry. What burnout is. Yeah, man, as soon call you. Give me a few here. Are you in the class? What burnout is and why people in the health care sector often experience it. And we're going to change some of the words because we don't want to sound, we're using experience in order to, or you can say so that HR/administrators can consider writer's purpose explain what burnout is and why people in the case often experience it so that HR can find solutions. All right. So the thesis now, the writer, please mute your mics if you're in my class, speaks to these individuals through three main language strategies and language techniques. And we're going to put language techniques. Style comes under language technique. All right, so watch me now, people. How do you get your marks? So this is the discourse mode, exposition, you get a mark there. Writer's main idea is that burnout, so you get the mark for writer's main idea. Then you say the writer's purpose is to explain, you get a mark for that. And then we say this part that says so that, you get a mark for that once it's correct. And then you get a mark for the thesis. This is your thesis. Oh yes, and you get a mark for audience as well. This is your audience. HR managers and other administrators. How many sentences do I use for my introduction? How many sentences do I use for my introduction?
3 and 3.
There you go. No more than 3 sentences for your introduction. So let's look at one of the body paragraphs. Let me put language techniques first, and then techniques and three main language strategies. So we were commenting on a lot of the things. So we might say this is the first body paragraph. I need to remove the full stop. In the first instance, the writer uses various language techniques, specifically register, tone, and denotation. Anybody remembers this word denotation? Anybody remembers this? Hello, do we remember the meaning of the word denotation? Why are people not answering? Do you remember I gave you this word denotation and connotation?
No,
Remember
sir.
the words, but not the meaning.
I gave you denotation and connotation, and we went through the lecture. I distinctly remember doing that.
Little words, but Unnecessary, not the meaning.
So denotation, once you hear D, think dictionary. So D means dick, as in dictionary, and connotation is the opposite, which is the imaginative or the figurative meaning. So denotation is the dictionary, technical, scientific, so it's the literal, dictionary, technical, or scientific meaning of a word or concept. And then the connotation now will be the figurative meaning of a word or concept, okay?
Answer.
The second topic sentence now would be, finally, the writer uses causal analysis, definition, and the classification. And then in your conclusion, you say to summarize. That's not summarize. To summarize, yeah, and I'm just writing the some extent. So to summarize, the writer through explanation is very concerned about the impact of burnout on healthcare professionals, with the hopes that this problem can be addressed. The writer uses various language strategies and techniques to bring attention to a long-lasting problem that needs urgent attention. That's the conclusion. Because what I've done here is just to put back the purpose, but I just use through explanation, long-lasting. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So for homework, you're going to write the body paragraphs now, because you already have the essay. No. Let me screenshot it for you. No, why is my screenshot not working? Oh. So let's put it in the chat. All right, are there any questions? Anybody not so sure what I just did? Or is it clear?
Sir,
question. And all of it, sir, but I'm going to listen to the recording, and if not next week, I answer again, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the issue, because for the homework, we're basically going to do an essay on this piece.
Well, I've written your introduction and conclusion already.
Right, so it's just for the first and the second paragraph.
Right.
Okay.
That's all you're doing, because all you're going to do is just to rewrite. So let me, this class is which class again? This is PSY?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so let me just put PSY beside it and email this to you right now, so that you can just, for the other part now, you just do the, so save as, I'm going to email this to you, so that all you're going to do now is to pick up where I've left off. Where do I save it? Lecture. All right. Yes.
Internet chip up, but look like something escalated quickly. Come here, you talk about essay. What go on?
Can somebody just explain what happened with your internet, sir? Well, what we did was to write a sample. You're seeing, oh, you're not seeing my screen. Let me share my screen. All right, let me just quickly send it first, because I think sending it to you guys is more important. So let me send it to you. So what you're really doing, Roberta, is that I've written the introduction and the conclusion for you, and I've given you the topic sentences for each body paragraph. You're just going to complete it.
All right, sir. All right.
And if you want to work in pairs, or if you want to do it on your own, that's okay. If I were you, I would do it on my own, because at the end of the day, the mid-semester is going to be an individual exam, not a so students, all students. So let's say sample discourse analysis. DISCOURSE. So let me just send it to you quickly before. Where did I save it? I think I saved it in lecture week 2. And I call it discourse analysis. Right, PSY doc. All right, okay. Oh yes, students. Please, that's not please. See the attach. That's not regards. All right, confirm it. Confirm receiving it for me.
Sure, not everybody's in the psychology group.
No, man. When I send it to all, I copy all students. Whether you're, that's just my label.
Yes, sir.
So it will come to our school email, sir?
Yes. Confirm for me, please.
Yes, sir. See it in the group.
Okay. All right. So all you're doing is just completing the essay. All right. Okay. And I'm going to put it in the WhatsApp group as well. All right. Have a good night, everybody. I actually have another class and I'm 2 minutes late for that class.
Okay, then, sir.
All right.
Good night.
Night, night.
Sir, good night.
Sir, put the homework in the group, please.
Say that again.
Sir, can put the homework in the group, please?
Yes, I just did.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, man. Night, night, everybody.
Good night, sir.
Yes.